Hello everyone, welcome to Full Moon Movies. Dante's Peak, released in 1997, now presented in 4K by Kinoloba, is often remembered as a late 90s disaster spectacle released during the peak of Hollywood's fascination with large-scale natural catastrophe. But revisiting it today, especially in a high-resolution restoration, reveals a film that is far more grounded, character-driven, and quietly tense than its reputation suggests. Beneath the lava flows and collapsing bridges lies a thoughtful meditation on scientific responsibility, civic trust, and the fragile illusion that modern life can fully tame nature. The story follows volcanologist Harry Dalton, played with restrained seriousness by Pierce Bronson, who arrives in the idyllic town of Dante's Peak to assess unusual geothermal activity. From the opening scenes, the film establishes its core tension not through spectacle but through unease, like subtle signs that something is wrong, signs most people would rather ignore. Now, this slow build is crucial. Unlike many disaster films that rush headlong into destruction, Dante's Peak takes its time, allowing the audience to understand the town, its people, and the stakes involved before nature finally asserts itself. Brosnan's performance is one of the film's understated strengths. Harry is not an action hero in the traditional sense. He's a scientific burdened by past guilt, having previously failed to prevent a fatal eruption. Now, that emotional residue informs every decision he makes in Dante's Peak. His urgency is not driven by bravado but by responsibility, and this grounds the film in a moral realism that elevates it above simple disaster thrills. Opposite him is Linda Hamilton's Rachel Wando, brings warmth and resilience as the town's mayor. Her role is especially important because she embodies the difficult balance between public safety, economic survival, and political accountability. She is not portrayed as naive or obstructive, but as someone forced to make impossible choices with incomplete information. Now, one of the film's most effective qualities is how it treats science. Dante's Peak respects the process of observation, debate, and uncertainty. There's no single moment where science offers absolute clarity. Instead, the danger reveals itself incrementally. Rising water temperatures, dying trees, seismic tremors. Now, this approach mirrors real-world disaster management, where warnings are often dismissed until they become impossible to ignore. The film quietly critiques how societies value convenience and stability over precaution, a theme that resonates even more strongly today. When eruption finally occurs, Dante's Peak does not indulge in excess for its own sake. The destruction is staged with clarity and purpose, always anchored to human consequence. A bridge collapses not just as a visual effect, but as a severing of escape. Acidic water is not merely a hazard, but a horrifying reminder that nature does not discriminate between heroism and helplessness. One of the film's most emotionally devastating moments was the sacrifice involving Rachel's grandmother remains effective precisely because it is framed as an act of love rather than spectacle. The scene lingers not for shock value, but for its emotional weight. Comparisons with its contemporary rival, like Volcano, released in 1997, are inevitable. Where Volcano leaned into more bombastic action and urban fantasy, Dante's Peak chooses restraint and realism. Its small town setting allows the films to focus on personal loss rather than anonymous destruction. The mountain looms like a sleeping god throughout the film, and when it awakens, the result feels less like an action sequence and more like an inevitability. Now, this tonal difference is why Dante's Peak has aged more gracefully. It feels more plausible, measured, and eerily authentic. Now, the 4K presentation by Kinoloba enhances these trends significantly. The transfer brings renewed clarity to the film's natural landscapes, emphasizing the contrast between the town's picturesque calm and the violence awaiting beneath the surface. The fine details like the steam rising from vents, ash drifting through the air, subtle color shifts in the environment are far more visible, adding texture to scenes that previously felt flatter and standard definition formats. Now, the eruption sequences benefit from improved contrast and stability, while quieter moments gain depth more through natural skin tones and environmental detail. Now, the audio presentation also plays an important role. James Newton's Howard score, often overlooked, gains renewed presence here. The music does not overwhelm the film, but subtly reinforces its emotional undercurrents such as anticipation, dread, sacrifice, and survival. In moments of silence, the sound design allows the rumbling earth and distant echoes to create a tension without excess noise, which reinforcing the idea that nature's most frightening moments often arrives quietly. Now, what ultimately makes Dante's Peak endure is its humanism. The film understands that the disaster is not defined solely by destruction, but by choices people make under pressure. It asks difficult questions. When is warning is really enough? Who bears responsibility when acting too early causes harm or acting too late causes life? Now, these questions are never answered definitively, and that ambiguity is part of the film's strength. Seen today, Dante's Peak feels less like a product of the 1990s blockbuster excess and more like a sober reflection on preparedness, trust, and humility. The 4K release allows the film to be appreciated anew, not just as a disaster movie, but as a thoughtful, emotionally grounded story about humanity's fragile relationship with the natural world. The movie may feature lava and ash, but its true power lies in the quiet moments where science, fear, and compassion collide. Now, this movie is a must watch.